It is the sound you hear in your sleep now. One small, wet sneeze from the other side of the room, then another, then a whole ragged little fit of them. And in the morning, there are those fine spatter marks on the wall beside her favorite chair, and a dried crust at the corner of her nose. You have wiped that nose 100 times, and you have read forms at midnight and come away more frightened than when you started. But what if I told you the secret is sitting in your kitchen pantry and refrigerator? Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Sarah Lane, your neighborhood veterinarian. A sneezing cat is one of the most common reasons a carrier lands on my exam table, and one of the most misread things I see. Here is the number that changes how you look at that little nose. By most estimates, as many as 8 out of every 10 cats carry feline herpesvirus for life after a single exposure, usually before they were old enough to leave their mother. If that is the cat beside you right now, take 2 seconds and subscribe, because this is a family of cat parents who refuse to guess. Now, hear me. You are not doing anything wrong. You did not give her this. But we cannot shrug at it either, because a cat who cannot smell her dinner is a cat who stops eating, and a cat who stops eating is a cat on a clock. So grab a pen and a notebook, because this is a masterclass in 6 name chapters. By the end, you will know the ordinary household habit that keeps the sneezing going, the one thing you must never put in a steamy bathroom with a cat, and the single pinch of something that goes in her bowl. Chapter 1. The enemy you cannot see. The biggest mistake I see cat owners make is treating this like a human head cold, something that runs its course in a week and then leaves. In most sneezing cats, it never left. That virus I mentioned does not get cleared out of the body. It hides inside a bundle of nerve tissue behind the eye and sits there silent for months or years until something in your cat's world knocks her immune system sideways. Then it wakes up and travels back down the nerve to the lining of the nose. So what you are watching is not a fresh infection she caught somewhere. It is a flare. That single change in framing is what finally makes the sneezing manageable, because you stop chasing an outside germ and start managing an inside trigger. Now do this tonight before you change one other thing. Take that notebook and answer 3 questions. Question 1, is the discharge coming from one nostril or from both? Two-sided is the ordinary viral picture. One-sided, especially with a bulge on that side of the face, points at a foreign body, a bad tooth root, or a growth, and that is a vet visit this week, not a home remedy. Question 2, is what comes out clear and watery, or thick and yellow-green? Question 3, and this is the one that matters most. Is she still eating normally? Write those 3 answers down every day for 3 days, along with how many sneezing fits you counted. That single page is the most useful thing you can carry into an exam room. Then start remedy number 1 tonight. The steam session. Run a hot shower with the bathroom door closed, sit on the floor with her, and stay 10 to 15 minutes, twice a day. Dry indoor air turns nasal mucus into glue. Warm, wet air thins it so her own body can move it out, which is why the first thing you will hear is a big, productive sneeze. Never put her in the running water, never leave her in there alone, and if she starts panting, the session is over. Chapter 2, the 2-day clock. Here is the mind-blowing science. And once you understand this, everything else in this video stops being about a runny nose. Your cat does not eat with her tongue. She eats with her nose. Cats have very few taste receptors compared to us and cannot taste sweetness at all. So appetite in a cat is driven almost entirely by aroma. Food that she cannot smell is not unappetizing food. To her brain, it is not food at all. Imagine if you had the worst head cold of your life and every meal in front of you smelled like wet cardboard. You would push the plate away too. Let that sink in, because it explains the thing that actually frightens me about a sneezing cat. A cat who stops eating for roughly 2 days begins mobilizing her body fat faster than her liver can process it, and that fat backs up inside the liver itself. It is a serious, sometimes fatal condition, and it is the real danger hiding inside a case of the sniffles. So our goal was never simply to stop the sneezing, it is to keep her eating while her body handles the flare. Which brings us to remedy number 2, a two-part step. First, warm her wet food to about body temperature, just barely warm on your wrist, because heat lifts the aroma out of the bowl and can restore an appetite in seconds. Second, plain sterile saline nose drops. Not a medicated spray, not a decongestant spray, nothing scented or menthol. Plain sterile saline, the kind sold for rinsing eyes or wounds. One ingredient. Warm the bottle in your hand, wrap her loosely in a towel, tip her chin up, and put one single drop into one nostril. She will sneeze immediately, and that is exactly the point. Do the other side a minute later. Once or twice a day during a flare is plenty. I have written all of this down for you. It is my book, The Natural Cat Care Companion, with the 3-question sneeze log, the daily bowl routine, and the red flag checklist laid out on one page you can stick on the fridge. The link is in the description below, or point your phone at the code on your screen right now and scan it. Chapter 3. The Villain in the Diffuser. This is the most important part of the whole video, so listen to me very closely, because here's what the internet doesn't want you to know. The most dangerous thing in a sneezing cat's house is almost never the virus. It is the thing a loving owner reaches for to help. Eucalyptus oil in the steam, tea tree oil dabbed on the nose, a menthol chest rub on the chest of a cat, a plug-in diffuser running in the room where she sleeps because someone online swore it opens the airways. Please hear this vet warning. A cat's liver is missing an enzyme system that yours and mine use to package and clear a family of compounds called phenols. And eucalyptus, tea tree, pine, wintergreen, clove, and citrus oils are loaded with them. Cats absorb these through the lungs, through the skin, and off their own fur when they groom. The result is liver injury, chemical burns in the airway, and in the worst cases, an inhalation pneumonia in an animal who was already struggling to breathe through her nose. That is the enemy, not the sneeze. And if at any point her discharge turns bloody, if only one side is running while that side of her face swells, if she is breathing with her mouth open, or if she has not eaten in 24 hours, you stop every home step in this video and call your veterinarian today. Now the real remedy number 3, and it is completely undoing rather than adding. Call it the air reset. Switch to a low-dust, unscented litter because scented clay dust is a daily irritant blowing straight up the nose of an animal whose face sits 4 inches above it. Retire the scented candles, the plug-in fresheners, the aerosol sprays, and the carpet powders. No smoking indoors, ever. Put a plain cool mist humidifier in the room where she sleeps, run it on water only with nothing added, and clean it every single day so it is not seeding the air with mold. If you can, run a filter unit with a true HEPA element in that same room and change the furnace filter this month. In practice, this one boring, unglamorous step is what separates the cats who flare every 6 weeks from the cats who flare twice a year. Chapter 4. The Hidden Trigger. Let me tell you a secret that almost nobody connects. If the virus is already living in your cat and only wakes up when her immune system dips, then the real question is never what she caught. It is what keeps waking it up. And in cats, the answer is stress, in a form most owners would never write on a list. A cat does not experience stress the way we do. She experiences it as loss of control over her own territory, a new cat in the house, a house guest for the weekend, a litter box that got moved to the garage, a boarding stay, a schedule change when you go back to the office, building work, a new baby. Even a resource shortage you would never notice, like 2 cats sharing 1 water bowl or 3 cats sharing 2 boxes. Every one of those can be the thing that reopens the door for the virus, sometimes a full week later, which is why owners so rarely connect the flare to the cause. So this is remedy number 4, and it is the least medical thing I will ask you to do. Give her control back. The rule is 1 litter box per cat plus 1 spare in separate rooms, and the same math for food bowls, water bowls, and resting places, so nobody has to walk past anybody to get a drink. Give her height, because a cat who can get above the room feels safe in it. Give her one covered hiding spot she is never disturbed in, and tell the children it is off limits. Feed at the same times every day. And if the house has been chaotic, a feline facial pheromone diffuser is the one plug-in I do recommend, because it is a copy of the scent signal she leaves when she rubs her cheek on the furniture and says, "This place is mine." That is not an essential oil, and it does not go on her body. Second, and stacked right on top of that, is water. Mucus is mostly water. A cat who is running even slightly dry makes thicker, stickier mucus and stays blocked longer. Wet food does most of the work. Add a wide, shallow bowl set well away from her food, or a quiet fountain if she likes moving water, and stir an extra spoonful of warm water into every meal. Now, let me tell you who this hits hardest, because I do not want you to be blindsided. Kittens who came from a shelter, a rescue, or a crowded foster home where nearly every kitten meets this virus. Any household with 3 or more cats, the flat-faced breeds, the Persians, Himalayans, and exotic shorthairs, whose nasal passages are folded into a shorter face and drain badly. Seniors, cats living with feline leukemia or the feline immunodeficiency virus, cats on long-term steroids, and cats with advanced dental disease because the roots of the upper teeth sit directly beneath the nasal passages. If your cat is on that list, the flares will be longer and you will need every step in this video. And in just a moment, I am going to tell you exactly what to put in her bowl. It is one ingredient. It is not a drug, it is not an antibiotic, and it costs pennies a day. It is the step that owners write to me about months later. Chapter 5. The pinch in the bowl. If you saw the thumbnail saying add this to their bowl, this is exactly what I meant. It is plain bovine colostrum powder. Colostrum is the very first milk a cow produces in the day or so after her calf is born, before ordinary milk comes in, and it is dried into a fine, mild, creamy powder. It is not a supplement somebody invented. It is a newborn's entire starter kit for staying alive, and here is why it belongs in the bowl of a sneezing cat. Colostrum is dense with immunoglobulins, which are simply antibodies, and with a remarkable iron-binding protein called lactoferrin. Lactoferrin locks up the iron that opportunistic bacteria need in order to multiply in an inflamed nose, and laboratory work has shown it interfering with herpes family viruses at the moment they try to attach to a cell. Just as importantly, roughly 70% of your cat's immune tissue lives in the lining of her gut, so feeding antibodies directly into that lining is feeding her defenses where they actually live. And the mucous membranes of the nose and throat are the exact tissue this virus attacks. What owners tell me is not that the sneezing vanished overnight. It is that the flares got shorter and softer, that the snotty weeks turned into snotty days, and that the cat bounced back on her own. Now the label, because this matters. You want plain bovine colostrum powder with one ingredient and nothing else. No sweeteners, no xylitol, which is dangerous to animals, no herbal immune blends, no flavorings. A pet-specific one is easiest. 1/8 to 1/4 of a teaspoon stirred into warm, wet food once a day is the whole dose. Start at the smaller amount for the first week. A few cats get loose stools in the first days, and if that happens, you cut the amount in half and go slower. Chapter 6. The final boss battle. 2 more steps, and if you skip this step, everything was a waste, because these are what keep the flare from simply coming back in 6 weeks. The first is mechanical, and it takes 2 minutes. Every evening, warm a cotton pad with plain water and wipe her nose and the corners of her eyes gently, always outward and away from the eye. 1 fresh pad per eye, never the same pad twice, or you carry the infection from one side to the other. Dried crust that stays put becomes a sore, and a cat who cannot get air through a crusted nose will not eat. While you are at it, wash her bedding weekly on the hottest cycle it will take. Wash food and water bowls in hot, soapy water every single day, rather than topping them up. Wipe out the carrier, and wash your hands between cats. If a new cat comes into the house sneezing, that cat lives in a separate room with separate bowls for 2 full weeks. The second step is the long game, and it is the one people quit too early. Her gut lining is where her immune system is trained, and every course of antibiotics, every stressful move, every week of poor eating strips that lining down. So add a feline-specific probiotic, the kind sold as single-serving foil sachets or kept refrigerated, sprinkled over one meal a day, every day, not just during a flare. Give it 8 weeks before you judge it. And please stop asking for an antibiotic at the first sneeze, because the ordinary flare is viral, antibiotics do nothing to it, and each unnecessary course sets that gut lining back to zero. Now, here is the only thing you actually need to remember, and please don't use all of these at once. Here is the 10-second daily bowl. In the morning, wet food warmed to just barely body temperature, with an eighth to a quarter teaspoon of colostrum powder stirred through it, and a spoonful of warm water. In the evening, wet food again with the probiotic sachet sprinkled over the top. That is the whole daily routine, and it takes 10 seconds. Everything else is only for flare days. Steam once or twice a day while she is snotty. Saline drops once or twice a day while she is snotty. The face wipe every evening. The air reset and the territory fixes run quietly in the background forever. Because those are the two that stop the next flare from ever starting, and add one new thing at a time, 3 days apart, so that when something helps, you know exactly what it was. Please hear this vet warning, because home care has a hard boundary and I need you to know where it is. If she has not eaten in 24 hours, if she is breathing with her mouth open or working hard for air, if the discharge is bloody or one-sided with facial swelling, if an eye is squinting, cloudy, or filmed over, which can mean an ulcer on the surface of the eye, or if she is hot, flat, and hiding, you stop everything on this list and you call your veterinarian today. Sneezing that has run longer than a week without improving also earns a phone call. Look at what you have now: a 3-question log, a steamy bathroom, warmed food, saline drops, an honest air reset, a calmer territory, a pinch of colostrum, a probiotic, and a 2-minute face wipe. That is a plan, and plans are what quiet nights like these. You are not a bad cat parent for not knowing any of this. Your cat relies on you to be their hero, and tonight that is exactly what you were. They are so lucky to have you. Now talk to me in the comments below. Tell me your cat's name, how old she is, her breed, or just what she looks like, because I have a terrible soft spot for the scruffy orange ones, and tell me how long the sneezing has been going on at your house. Then tell me which step you are starting tonight. I read every single comment. If this gave you a plan tonight, tap the like button, because that is the one thing that pushes this video in front of the next person lying awake listening to a small wet sneeze in the dark. Subscribe so the next one finds you. My book, The Natural Cat Care Companion, is linked in the description and in the pinned comment. Tonight, give that beautiful cat a soft scratch behind the ears from Dr. Sarah Lane. Breathe easier, both of you, and I will see you in the next video.